Hey y'all, it's your girl Cassandra. I am back with another video of upcycled items for y'all. I am working to get my shop together, so I have 4 upcycles for y'all today. All right, come on y'all, let's just go ahead and jump in. So for project number 1, I bought this little standing clock at Goodwill a couple of months back, and I had not gotten around to doing anything with it. The clock actually works, so and I paid $27 for it. It's really light pine type wood with these little square shelves in it, and I'm going to keep it for the kitchen of my shop. But I wanted to give it a little bit of a different feel. So here we go. The first thing I'm going to do is take this clock out, because that was the good part. It actually comes out. It just pops out. And then I have this color mixture of DIY paint. And honestly, y'all, I mixed this up quite a while ago, and I cannot even tell you what I mixed to get it. But it's kind of a muted lavender kind of color, I think. I would say that's kind of grayish lavender. That's what I would say it is. Anyway, that is going to be my first coat, just to get it all over this clock and cover up that pine color. I'm really going for a kind of a brickish type two-toned look, so that it'll fit in well with the brick back wall of my shop. The top of the clock was missing one screw, and so that's why I'm having to kind of hold it down. Otherwise, as I'm texturing this paint on, it's kind of bouncing around. And I am using a stippling motion just to get a little bit of texture without adding a texture additive. If you want to get a little bit of texture on a flat surface without adding a texture additive, you can just dab your brush up and down. Your arms will get a workout, but it actually works to give your piece a little bit of texture. With a little bit of maneuvering around, these shelves, or these little shelves come out. So I will paint them separately, except the one shelf is screwed in, and I'm assuming that's for stability, just to keep the clock together when I take out the other shelves. Now with this grayish lavender mixture that I'm putting on here, I am covering up all of that pine color. I really don't want any of that to show, but you'll see when I come back with my next coat, which is going to be a mixture of DIY's red, which is called Marquee, and Orange Crush. I am going to not give a complete coverage, so I do want some of that grayish lavender to show. And here I am now with that second mixture, again DIY's Marquee and Orange Crush, and again you can see that I'm not giving full coverage. For the little shelves, I am just going to use the Orange Crush by itself, and I'm just going to stipple that on. I'm using my Paint Pixie pointed brush to just stipple it on. And again though, I'm not trying to get complete coverage, so I will leave some of that natural white color that it was to show through. And so all of the shelves are going to get both front and back this stippling of Orange Crush. Now, once that's dry, I put all my shells back in, and I'm going to use IOD's La Campagna stamp. And this is like a 2-sheet stamp, and it's kind of like this country type stamp where you get roosters and cows and some florals. It's a really nice stamp if you're wanting to do kind of like country backgrounds or country scenes. And that's what I'm doing here. So each of these little shells will get one of the stamps from the La Campagna stamp. And then I'm going to seal this whole thing up with DIY's liquid patina, and this project will be done, y'all. All right, and here's a quick look back at our clock that actually works, y'all. I was so happy that the clock worked. It was a nice clock, I thought. I just thought it was slim and nice, and it would go perfectly in this little corner in my kitchen. So here's a look at what it looks like now. I kind of got this like brickish red color going on, and the orange on the shelves, and a few of the country scenes. And I think it turned out really, really cute. Let me know what you think. All right, let's move on now, y'all. It's time for project number 2. So a lot of times I get people, they know I upcycle furniture, and I'm in a small town, and they bring me things that they want to sell. So I bought this little vintage high chair from someone that was getting rid of it. I paid $10 for it. It was really dirty, y'all. I think it had baby food on it, probably from the 1800s. I don't know. But I had to do a good cleaning on this. So that's what I'm doing here. You see me scrubbing and cleaning away on this chair. And so to save some time from having to do all of that painting, I am going to be doing my cheater move by using some black spray paint. This is Rust-Oleum's flat black spray paint, and I'm just going to give it a coat of black spray paint all over, and then I'm going to seal that spray paint in with some matte, I think I used polyacrylic is what I think, some matte polyacrylic. So once that's done, now I can bring it back in the house, and I'm going to be using DIY's Marquee Red. And my goal here is just to kind of dry brush up and down all of the spindles on this chair. It's kind of going back to my high school days, y'all. We were the Mahia Black Cats, and red and black was our color. So these little spindles are just going to kind of get a dry brush of this Marquee Red. So for the dry brush, I am adding some paint to my brush, not much at all. And then when I'm adding to the brush, I'm actually taking most of that off. That way you'll get a good dry brush and picking up just the high points of these spindles. That was my goal on the dry brushing. I'll be using IOD's Felicity mold. This is going to go on the top of the chair, the top, front, back, just to give it a little bit of definition. And so here I am just adding, I actually don't have any, all I had, y'all, was some baking soda. So I'm adding baking soda to my molds. Any kind of powder, just to make sure that your clay doesn't stick and that it comes out, relatively easily. So that's what I'm doing here. And now I'm just going to push in some clay. The Felicity mold is one of a couple of molds that IOD has done recently that gives kind of a 3D type mold. And so I'm just pushing my clay off into the mold, and then I flip it over. Once I pull it all out with my thumbs and get up to that micro rim that gives you a really good flat back, I just flip it over then, and I let gravity help me just bring it right out of the mold. I'll be using Tight Bond Quick and Thick glue to apply these to the back top of this chair. Now, in my little thumbnail of this for this video, y'all, I said that I broke a couple of rules for crafting. This is probably one of them. So you'll see that I am going to place some molds along the corners of the back of this chair. And I'm using clay, but I still leave a little bit of the mold kind of hanging off. So it's the leaves at the bottom of some of these roses. I kind of leave them hanging off the chair. So in other words, they don't have anything to attach to. That's probably a no-no. It's best that you use resin if you're going to have your mold standing up off of a flat surface or hanging off of your flat surface, because clay, once it dries, it is brittle, and so if someone hits it, it can crack. So what am I planning to do about resolving this now that I've made that boo-boo? I am going to add a little bit of cardboard to the back where I have it hanging off on the bottom, where some of the mold is hanging off. I'll add a little bit of a cardboard piece behind that part that's kind of hanging down, and that way it'll give it a little bit more stability. So, but resin would have been the best way to go, but I was out of resin, so there you go, y'all. All right. Now, here is probably the second rule that I'm breaking in crafting. Most of the time, people paint white behind their decoupage paper. I'm going to be using Roycycled's decoupage paper. I had some scraps left over. This is one of her new spring line. And I'm going to be using a piece of it in the chair and then a piece of it on the footrest along with the tray. So I'm just going to take my brush here, dip it in water, and kind of trace around the shape of the seat so that I can get a good template of the seat so that I can decoupage down. And I am not going to paint white underneath. So on this particular piece, I don't necessarily want the decoupage paper to stand out. I just want it to be a part of. So I'm not going to paint white on the back. And I know that that's a rule, but hey, y'all, these are your creations. You can do what you want to do. So for this, I am not going to be painting white underneath. So this, I think, particular paper is called Posh Pattern. And then the other one that I'll be using is called Posh Floral, both by Roycycled Treasures. To lay my decoupage down, I'm going to be using DIY's liquid patina. You can use any water-based top coat that you want. This is just kind of my go-to preferred method for decoupage. And I'm just going to be starting with my anchor strip at the top back of the chair. And I'll lay down an anchor strip of the medium, and then I'll lay my decoupage paper into it. I'm going to be using some cling wrap, and then I'm just going to press that down and keep working my way toward the front of the chair. Once that's done, I'm going to come back with that same liquid patina. I will seal over the top of all the decoupage paper. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be using liquid patina to seal this whole chair up. Once I get all of the decoupage on and that paper is completely dry, you want to make sure that your paper is completely dry. I'm just going to take a bit of sandpaper and I'm just going to go in a downward motion and trim off the excess so I can get a very good, crisp, clean edge. Now, if you don't want that kind of scrapiness on your piece, by using the the sandpaper, you can just take a little bit of water on the brush and just trim it around the paper and get a wet edge trim off as well. Here I'm using that wet brush method as well for the middle part of this tray. I'm just gonna take my wet brush and with my fingers just kind of feel around, and I'm going to just get a good template of this middle part, and then I'll pull away the excess paper and I'm going to decoupage. This one I think is the Posh Floral, and I am going to decoupage that piece in the center here of this tray, leaving the outside in the black. When I'm laying down my decoupage paper, I always start away from the paper with my medium, and then after I get some of the medium offloaded on the brush, I go back underneath that edge. That way you don't get like this huge wet spot underneath your paper that might show through and take longer to dry. And that was the last, almost the last step for this chair. So let's take a quick look back, y'all, at our little chair from Little House on the Prairie days. And here we are in the present. I think it turned out really, really cute. I used some DIY's Cowgirl Coral to trim off the tray, the seat, and the little footrest. And I also used that same coral to dry brush the molds on the bag. What do you think? I think it turned out really cute. Onward, y'all, project number 3. And yes, I have another something that I have to drag up and clean off. But this is going to be a simple upcycle. So the same guy that I bought the little high chair from, I bought this little metal vintage school desk. And I think I only paid like $10 for it. It was missing the back, the backrest part. But I still thought it was cute, and I like the red. I'm just gonna leave it as is, y'all, with all the chippiness, all of the red paint, everything. The only thing I'm going to do is I am going to use Roycycled's numbered decollage paper to decoupage the top. Yep, and I did it out in the wind on my porch, but I got it done, y'all. And for the back where there was no seat, I had these 3 little star drawer pulls, and I added those to the back. And this project is done. What did y'all think? That was a quick one. Okay, y'all, for our 4th and final project, I got this little box, kind of like this crude little box. Someone probably handmade it at Goodwill. And I wanted to see if I could upcycle it to this kind of French country look. So that was my challenge on this box. The first thing I did was I gave it 2 coats of shellac just by brushing it on. And now I'm going to use some milk paint. I'm mixing Sweet Pickens milk paint in Love Bug and butter. And that is what I'm going to be using on the box for the color. If you've never used milk paint, it's a powder paint, and you can mix 1 part powder to 1 part water, or however you choose to mix it up, depending on if you want it thicker or thinner, however you want. You just add the water to your consistency level. So here's the mix, and I love it. It turned out really pretty, kind of this yellowy, buttery type color. And I ended up giving this box 4 coats, y'all. It took 4 coats, but I think it turned out really pretty. And I got some great crackle. If you're interested in any IOD products or any Roycycled decoupage paper, you can find those on my website at pecanporchboutique.com. For the milk paint, I use Rachel over at stellarosemercantile.co. You can check her website out for the Sweet Pickens milk paint. All right, y'all, I want to decoupage the inside of this box as well. So here I am going back to Roycycled paper. This one is called wallpaper, and I'm going to be using this wallpaper paper to completely decoupage the inside of the box and the lid as well. Now that I've got the inside all decoupaged, I'm gonna add some trim. And I believe this is Trimmings 2, IOD's Trimmings 2 mold. I think this is Trimmings 2. I'm gonna be using one of the trimmings from the Trimmings 2 mold. It has these little flowers and vines on it. And my real goal here with the trimmings is to cover up the lines where the pieces of this plywood came together to make this box, so as to give it a little bit more of not so much of a workshop vibe, but more of something that's cute and French country. So that was really my goal by using the trimmings, and it worked to cover up those little lines so that you don't have it looking so much like, oh, you know, little Johnny just built it in the workshop. So these pieces came from IOD's Florography inlay. And I'm going to be using a few pieces of that inlay to add to my French country feel. So I'm going to put a piece of it here on the top, and I'm going to be using, again, DIY's liquid patina to lay it into the medium. I've cut it out off of the inlay sheet, and I am going to just lay it in with the grid side up facing me. I'll give it a little spritz of water, and then I'll use just my baby wipe to actually press it into that. And I'll be doing also a little inlay on the ends of the box on each side. When you're not laying your inlay into paint, in this case I'm laying it into the liquid patina, I'm only going to let it dry to touch. I don't want to leave it on there long because it really will stick down really hard. So I'm just going to leave it dry to touch, and then once it's dry to touch, I'll spritz a little bit more water if needed, and then I'll peel it off. That's the fun part. After I get my inlay on, I am going to, or all of them actually on, let them dry, and then peel them off. I'm going to be going back over the whole painted surface of the box with this same liquid patina to seal the inlays in. Before I come back with, I'm going to be using Sweet Pickens dark oil wax, and I'll do the dark oil wax over all of the surface of this box, including the moles. And I also used another mole. I used the Felicity mole once again to cover up where that big knob was on the front. And then I used one of the Roses moles, or mole from the Roses mole. And that mole has been discontinued. I really hope they bring it back because I really like that mole. But I used that mole on the top as well. And I sealed everything up with Sweet Pickens dark oil wax as the first step. So you'll see me peeling off the inlays on the top and the sides. But once I got those all peeled off, again, I went back with DIY's liquid patina to seal everything in. But then, y'all, this is where I broke the third rule of crafting. with wax, because in crafting they say that wax is always last. Once you do wax, that's it, you're done. But once I did the Sweet Pickens dark oil wax all over this box, I came back and I painted over the trimmings mold. I painted over all the molds with DIY paint. That is supposedly a no-no, but I did it. And once I got those all painted over the wax, then I came back with some DIY clear wax. And then once that was dry, I came back with a little metallic paste in bronze. I added some feet that I got from Amazon. Well, they're really drawer pulls. I turned them into feet. And then I added a little jewelry box pull on the top so that you can open it. But here you see me removing the inlays. I think this box turned out really cute, y'all. Take a look back at this crude little workshop box. I mean, it was a cute little box, probably to keep nails and stuff in. But now look, I think this box turned out so cute. I hope you guys do too. Thank you as always for watching my videos. I appreciate it. Please leave me a thumbs up. You may even think about subscribing. Hop on over to my website if you think you see something that you may want to use in your own project. And until next time, y'all, don't forget to bud, bloom, and be unique. Bye for now.